You're pretty based, but I'm worried you might be losing touch. I honestly, I think I'm more in touch than I used to be. And no boomer will ever say that. Boomers always say things like, maybe that makes me out of touch, I don't know, would love to know your thoughts on this. But I'm actually, like, I'm pretty in touch. Like, I made almost 0 tweets that were like, hey, here's a screenshot of the tens of thousands of dollars that Twitch wants to pay me to run ads at your expense for advertisement incentives. Like, I didn't run any of I didn't send any correspondence out in the ether there except for stuff that's, like, driven by comedy. Boomers think they're in touch, and young people, they think young people are naive. I don't think that's true. I think that they, well, I do think that they think that young people are naive. You know what was annoying me? I had an argument this morning with someone in my head that is just made up. Vancouver has, like, some of the lowest property tax percentage-wise in North America. We paid 0.2% annually of our home's assessed value. It's so low. But still, it's one of the major issues for, like, in politics. And then people will say things like, well, I'm house poor. I bought my house in, like, 1970 for a packet of peanuts or something like that. And the property tax, you know, I'm on a fixed income. The property tax is so high, it's making it hard for me to survive. Hey, why don't you pull yourself up by your bootstraps then? Why is it always that young people have to, you know, never enjoy nice things for themselves, like a day at the movies or something like that, or like fresh vegetables? But like when old people are on a fixed income, they're just like, please help me. I don't know, get a job. I'm sorry to use the rhetoric, and I want to admit again, I made this person up in my head. Why don't you apply the same standards to yourself that you apply to the younger generation? I feel like so much of the political rhetoric, at least municipally, is like property taxes can never go up because homeowners bought in early and now they're on a fixed income. But at the same time, like, don't worry too much about the cost of living because young people can just suffer. Like, it just... I would love to know your thoughts on this. Just kidding. I know your thoughts on this because I'm getting more +2s than I've ever gotten before in my entire life. But, like, I am a homeowner. Again, in the sense that I have a mortgage, but also I do own my home. We went through this yesterday, okay? I'm still making payments on it, but it is mine. Regardless, homeowners complain too much. Just my opinion, just one man's opinion. People always, like, rent gives you nothing. That's not to say there aren't situations where renting makes... Sorry, my mistake. It's not to say there aren't situations where renting makes more sense, you know? If you have the money for a mortgage, you're not in love with owning a home, and the environment, the market environment conditions make sense to just rent and instead put what you would have spent on a mortgage into like an index fund or something like that, sure. However, homeowners always say, like, they just lie to people and say, like, I wish I could go back to renting. Oh, to not have to pay for maintenance or property tax, that would be amazing. Oh, yeah, everybody hates renting until you gotta replace your roof that started to leak. Okay, motherfucker, then sell your house, dickhead. Just, what's stopping you? It's that classic, like, well, I proudly stand up next to you and defend her still today. Then go ahead, man. Not literally nothing's stopping you if you're glamorizing that. By all means. Like, I every time I go through my camera roll to show my daughter pictures of herself, because she always loves to see them. She's a bit of a narcissist that way. I see, like, these screenshots or screen caps that I took from Reddit, like, last year, where people were complaining about, like, housing prices, and then someone's like, well, you know, I'm a homeowner myself, but honestly, like, I wish I could go back to renting sometimes. And then people were like, well, why don't you? And he's like, well, rent is too expensive and you don't build any equity. And you're like, no shit, idiot. Then stop. Why are you just telling lies on the internet that are like, I wish I could go back to renting? Just do it then. I would love to go back to renting, except for all of the things that make owning a home substantially more desirable. Like, you just want to complain, which is fine. That's also, like, I just want to complain, but at least I'm honest about it. Isn't mortgaging your house renting? I think this is an honest question. The answer is no. If you want to draw an equivalency, when you pay your mortgage, the interest payment is kind of rent. That's money that you don't actually get anything for except the privilege of continuing to live in your house. But the remainder, when you pay off the principal, that's equity. So you're basically putting it into a, not even really like a savings account. You're putting it into an investment that could go up annually depending on how property prices are affected. And obviously, like, historically, they've tended to go up. What does refinancing mean? Well, okay. Listen, I'm now the millennial Kyla Scanlon, okay? When you buy a house, typically you take out a mortgage. You put, 5 to 25% of the property value down, and then the remainder of the balance is paid by the bank as in the form of a loan that they give you. The loan has terms like a length, as well as a payment schedule, including an interest rate. Refinancing is when you choose to or are forced to sign a new agreement that has different terms. So in the US, where people are mostly on 30-year fixed mortgages, they tend to refinance if they signed at a higher interest rate than the current interest rate. So they go to the bank and say, hey, I'm on 4% interest, and now the market rate is like 2.5. Let's refinance, and then that'll lower my monthly payment, or at least increase the percentage of my monthly payment that's going to the principal. In other parts of the world, like most of the rest of the world, the standard for mortgages is called an adjustable rate mortgage, where you sign on for a few years at an interest rate, and then when that's done, you refinance at a new interest rate until the mortgage is completely paid off. Yeah, you're not breaking a deal. That's just how it works here. Arms are a scam. It's not a scam. Like, I think it's a scam if you buy more house than you can afford, and the only reason you can qualify is because of the ARM, because then you're screwed if rates go up. But like, I mean, all of Canada is on ARMs. I mean, our housing market is messed up, but so is like the housing market all over planet Earth. So what's the incentive for the bank to agree to refinance? I may be wrong about this. This is going to be a nasty wave, by the way. You being able to afford to make your payments. I think the bank would rather have a good customer that makes their payments than start to get into the real estate business. At least that's how I understand it. Like, the bank has the easiest business of all time. Basically, they loan money to customers at an interest rate, and then they pay their depositors substantially lower than that interest rate. Like, right now, a mortgage is costing people like 6-7%, and some banks still have like savings accounts that are paying out at like 0.25%. So it's literally just free money. Maybe that's a slight, could be a slight suggestion that maybe an oversimplification. But now explain reverse mortgages. I believe, I don't know what a reverse mortgage is. I think a reverse mortgage is when you give yourself a loan. You have the money to buy your house, but rather than buy it, you give yourself a loan so that you can pay yourself back with a prime interest rate in order to get more money into tax-advantaged accounts, legally speaking. No? Is that okay? That's a different thing then. Apparently, a reverse mortgage it's like a home equity line of credit. You have an expensive house, but you have no money, so you sell part of your house to the bank. They give you a line of credit, and then you pay them interest. This is what people mean when they say money isn't real. I mean, it's kind of crazy. I mean, this is like an oversimplification. You could use your home as collateral to get a loan from the bank for like 80% of the cash value of your home, assuming you own it. And if they give you like a favorable interest rate, you could invest the value of that line of credit into an interest-bearing asset that pays higher than the rate of your line of credit. And you're basically like, this is not financial advice. I'm just saying it's an infinite money glitch, apparently. I wouldn't know because we don't own our house in its entirety. But can you explain a negative interest rate? I honestly don't really understand how that... it's hard to explain, okay? Because I don't fully understand it. Don't forget to pop down your teleporter, by the way. So some central banks, like the Bank of Japan, have a negative interest rate, which technically means if you give them money, you're guaranteed to be losing some by the time that the term of the loan is over. However, bizarrely, that can be well, okay, see, here's where I'm kind of losing it a little bit. I was going to say that could be a good thing. Let me rephrase. Not a good thing. Because it would be nice to have your money earn more money. But if every other asset is expected to lose more than 1% annually, then you might be like if inflation is 10%, you might be like, holy cow, let me put my money into a negative 1% bond, so at least I'm only losing 1 instead of 10. Okay, you're right. It encourages spending and discourages saving, which is important because the Japanese economy has been deflationary for demographic-based reasons. Right, I forgot about that because I don't really know what I'm talking about. All of my knowledge comes from podcasts. Can you explain the blockchain? I cannot. I cannot explain the blockchain. I'm sorry to inform you. Because he was moral, they called him insane. Delusions of grandeur, visions of splendor. This manic depressing, he walks in the rain. Eyes wide open. Get out of my head, Geddy Lee!